Okay, this is Abba Leiter again regarding my father, Rabbi Zev Wolf Leiter, the renowned Goyen and Boki, etc., and his cooperation, his involvement with people who are great scholars in every persuasion. I want to just add or finish up a few things about Boaz Cohen. Boaz Cohen will write an article in the American Jewish Outlook, okay? This is something that he, found himself able to do. He was able to do an awful lot of helping, people get a hold of books, copies of, how should we say, the manuscripts or early editions so they could work on them. And Rabbi Leiter's Talmudic study in Hebrew full of vital things. He wrote this article for general consumption that people should know what Rabbi Leiter was doing on the issue of get, okay? And there was a book put out, I think we mentioned it in some of our other dissertations here, on Gittin, where Mitorasa Shoroshonim on Gittin, which has variant readings and a tremendous amount of Chedushim, okay? And he writes over here, what task can therefore transcend in significance the endeavor to search out and penetrate into the true meaning of the dicta of our ancient sages? After all, he goes on to explain these things were held, primarily together by word of mouth for a while, and then eventually a lot of troubles that hit the Jewish people resulted in that we should have one single manuscript of the Talmud, of the Babylonian Talmud, which is complete. Okay? It's found in Munich. He writes a whole article here. But he explains, that Rabbi Leiter has put this item out regarding the Sechta Gittin because Rabbi Rabinowitz, who had put out many volumes, who had started this whole thing, was a person who put it out on these readings, these special readings and other things on 16-volume Varia Lectionis, on a lot of Masechtas, but there was nothing on Gittin, okay? And Rabbi Leiter undertook this particular thing, and as you know, I said before, some of his notes were printed on the page of the Talmud, and a very highly unusual thing that ever happened in general, and it was perhaps first time in 100 years that it was happened during the 20th century. In addition, he kept up a correspondence with my father, where he thanks him for his latest productions on the Gaonim, on the Chuvas Harif, and of course in the Chuvas Harif itself, you should know there was for the Rimagash. So and each one of them, okay, is very important. It's difficult to overrate the great significance of the legal writings of this early Spanish Talmudists who wielded such tremendous influence on subsequent codifiers. The historian of Jewish law, as well as the rabbi engaged in the application of Jewish ritual, will be greatly indebted to you for your most erudite and critical study of this surpassing scholar. May the appearance of this book of yours take place without any unnecessary delays. One of them had already appeared, and the other one was on the way. Boaz Cohen remained a good friend and a great help to my father, as well as perhaps many other rabbis, and a devoted, practicing Jew for any of those who want to question it. He also was an amazing scholar. He sent some of his monographs to my father, and where they were written by him, the Dinei Mishpat Ivri, the Jewish and Roman law, okay? That he put it out in 63. He also had put out this monograph of significance. If you can focus on it. This talks about civil bondage in Jewish and Roman law. How the Romans came to realize that slavery didn't have to remain forever. They came to Israel, Palestine at the time they called it, and they learned from the Jews that slavery didn't have to be forever. You could give what is called a writ of manumission, a shtar shichror, that a slave could become a free man. This was an amazing thing and changed a lot of lives on the European continent, where gladiators were allowed to live and become human beings in their own right by being released from slavery. Okay? There was also another book of his, The Relationship of Jewish to Roman Law, okay, in English. And this was a great scholar. He was versed in the Greek and Roman law, as well as being steeped in Jewish law and personal observance.